Spike, I got to be real with you. I think it's fine that Dolly Parton is coming to the state of Washington on the 15th to celebrate the state's Imagination Library. I think this is sweet. I think it's nice.
Yeah.
Chris, we play the audio really quick before I go into my rant about this.
He didn't get to go to school, so Daddy couldn't read and write, and that always troubled him and bothered him. And so I wanted to do something special for him, so I got the idea to start this program and let my dad help me with it. We send these books to them in their little name, with their name on it. They look forward to going to the mailbox. This is theirs. This is mine. So I am going to either learn to read it, or I'm going to make somebody teach me how to read it.
Okay, so Dolly Parton is a saint on earth, and we should all worship at the altar of Dolly Parton, right?
Yes.
I love Dolly Parton. I refuse to have it. Spike, I refuse to have anybody say anything negative about Dolly Parton on this fine radio program, including you. I know in the pre-show meeting you had some choice words for Dolly Parton, and I refuse to have you malign that good woman's name on this fine radio program.
Point made, my friend. I'll restrain myself.
But here's the thing, Spike. We are dealing with the former president of the United States who is now hit with his third indictment, right? And there's just something that I can't shake in thinking about it, which is like the Dolly Parton story is nice. Everybody likes Dolly Parton. Kids need to learn how to read. Kids don't read enough. Reading expands the mind. I believe in my household, when I have children, I will likely have a no TV policy and a no cell phone policy for probably the first 8 or 9 years.
Wow, they're going to love Idaho, man, your kids. Wow.
I think that kids should be in nature. I think that there's a lot of data out there that suggests that one of the reasons why we see increasing quote-unquote autism rates is that there are kids are not getting the same neural feedback that they were getting many, many years ago.
Yeah, you're right. It's all digital now. Yep.
So we take a little 2-year-old and we give him a little iPad, and then we're having our margaritas and we're not paying attention to baby. So in my mind, I want to download as much of myself into my child as I possibly can. And so that is why I'll be immediately doing the Dolly Parton and just books and books and books and books and books. But at the same time, Spike, I think about it like this. Could you imagine you're sitting in a movie theater in 1993? It's Christmas time. Mm-hmm. You're watching Home Alone 2, seminal classic, right?
Yeah.
And then you see the scene with
Macaulay Culkin,
Donald Trump, and he says, "Excuse me, sir, where's the lobby?" And then Donald Trump turns around and he goes, "It's that way." Could you imagine that 30 years later, we would be saying, "Yeah, so is this man, did he try to do a fascist insurrection in the country?" Do you know what I mean? Like there is a bizarre, hey, is that guy actually a fascist? Is that guy like an anti-democratic? Did that guy try to circumvent the democratic process? By you know what I mean? We are in bizarro land right now, and I am desperate to wake up in my cocoon and realize that we're actually being harvested by robots, and then have them flush me down the toilet so then I can wake up and have Morpheus and Trinity say, "Ah, Jack, welcome to the real world." And I go, "What? I knew it. All of this was fake." That's what I want to happen. But instead, it's every day I wake up, I'm reading about Donald Trump again and again and again. And it's just like, this is madness. We live in an insane world where people live and die on the language, so much so that now that there's shots fired at the U.S. Capitol, not shots fired at the U.S. Capitol, there's a potential shooter at the Senate building, right, that we're having to deal with.
Yeah.
So this is like, if you ask me, as someone who's been covering media for the longest time, what's the weirdest thing you've ever had to cover? Today. And what was the weirdest thing before that? Yesterday. And what was the weirdest thing before that?
You're having a week,
Thursday.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's nonstop. This is bizarre. And there are millions of Americans that want me to play along with this bizarrity, whether they're on the right or the left. And the more that I engage with it, the more I think, why isn't Dolly Parton front page news everywhere?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, especially when you consider what's been happening to books in the last year and a half. Right, the book bans, the
banning them,
and I want to say the weaponization of parenthood, right? I mean, the mobilization of people getting on school boards, and I understand. I mean, I'm not against activists in regard to getting involved in your kids' education, right? Going to school board meetings, having a voice for your kids. But I don't, never in history has the people who banned the books been on the good team. I think it's a safe thing to say.
But Spike, get on my level with this. Rather than us talking about a woman who has dedicated 50 years of her life to ensuring that little boys and little girls can read because her dad never learned how to read, and rather than us talking about the tens of millions of dollars that that woman gives to charity, and rather than us all celebrating that, what do we talk about? We talk about a real estate guy from New York who had some populist rhetoric, who came in and had some neoliberal policies and was able to brand himself as fighting against the deep state, even though he did everything he could to fund it. And now we're dealing with criminal indictments against the guy. And we're locked into this never-ending episode of The Apprentice. And I just want it to end so bad.
I'm trying to end it, but you keep bringing the guy up. I'm trying to talk about
But here's the thing. The gravitational pull of it is so immense. The enormity of it is so immense that it's almost inescapable, Spike. And people want to know, well, what's the sickness in the United States? It's that when you try to talk about positive things in the United States, no matter what you do, people go, oh, that's nice. What's going on with Donald Trump? Do you know what I mean?
I hear you, man.
Inescapable, my
It's
friend.
like it's a black hole. Everything's just
so that's
sucked
why
into.
I say all that to say this. We shouldn't teach kids how to read, because then they won't have to read about Donald Trump, and they don't have to waste their time on God's green earth arguing and debating over Joe Biden or Hunter Biden or Donald Trump or whatever it is, and we can get back to talking about how to improve society as opposed to how we can tear it down because this geriatric has an R in front of their name or that geriatric has a D in front of their name, and they both have neoliberal policies that we just argue and bicker over every 6 months. It's just like there has to be some way to get out of this matrix that we find ourselves in on a regular basis, and I have yet to find it.